I really wanted to make this movie in order to understand myself better, and culture has always been a constant aspect in my life which has been shaping me till today. And I thought the most rational way would be to question about the introspection of different cultures in my life. Starting with, how did my understanding of the word culture change over time? As I did my schooling from 2nd grade till 10th grade in my attained hometown, Madurai, as we call it in Tamil as Kalacharam, as I had this wrong notion thinking that being culture is supposed to be obedient, respecting others, and to wear traditional clothes. But once I moved to Bangalore for my high school, we used to have culture classes where we used to question each other like, what is the difference between being alone and being lonely? Where does fear originate from? And what really is considered as freedom? And I understood culture is the process of understanding our own behavior, our beliefs, and our customs. Basically, the root cause behind them. Once I had a basic understanding of what culture is, I was curious to know how others are perceiving me as. The first 7 years of my life, I was brought up in Moscow, the capital city of Russia, except the first 7 months. Doesn't it sound fun? The bitter truth is, Russians completely hated us. This is what my parents told me, even though both of my parents knew Russian. There are two incidents where I had faced racism. The first one occurred to me when I was 3 years old. When my mom and I were walking in front of a house entrance, there were two Russians who chucked eggs at us from the 20th floor. But thankfully, it didn't hit us. The second one happened while I was 4 years old, as my mom and I went to the park and a Russian girl called me monkey randomly. And even though my mom knew about it, she was helpless. Ironically, people at Madurai thought I was fairer compared to them. Not superior, but more like an outsider to them. And I used to speak in a British accent at that time.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bye bye, little go again. Why we let it go? But bit my fingers so. Which finger, little by little fingers on the right.
In order to fit in, I subconsciously started to speak in Tanglish, which is the fusion of 80% Tamil and 20% English. And Tanglish is the worst, and it's actually killing my language Tamil. And it has a huge influence on me till today. And after I started to speak in Tanglish, people in Madurai started to like me more than ever, and the sense of inclusion is the best thing that happened in my life, which happened in Madurai. But once I moved to Bangalore, this is how people around me saw me as. But some of those guys thought Madurai was a village and asked me if there is an airport or if there is any mall in it. And everyone thought I was innocent because I was really shy in the beginning phase of my life in Bangalore. But while I look at them, how did I perceive them as? Almost 98% of them were acting as if they have come from an US coming of age movie.
Guys, hello. Hey, today,
Bro, teach your girlfriend to drive, bro.
we're gonna teach my girlfriend how to drive. Where should we
Oh, it's a video. Where is she? She has to be existing.
People on road.
We're having a big fight on what cheese to buy.
Yeah,
What do
We're
you
gonna
think?
be so pissed.
yeah. We're having a big fight on what cheese to
They spoke like them and even behaved like them. Basically, Western culture. But after a point, I started to connect with most of the people and even appreciate their culture. But still, I couldn't connect with some of the guys because of the pop culture references, the sarcasm in the tone, and the offensive jokes, which I wasn't fine at the beginning. Even though, for others, in order to become friends, they need a lot of similarities with each other. But for me, it's always the personality that matters and a certain common ground to share with each other. And those are the relationships that has lasted with me till today, irrespective of the culture. Why did I feel like an outsider, including my attained hometown, Madurai? I was born in Chennai and lived there for the first 7 months in my life, but I didn't know much about that place. The 7 years in my life which I had spent consciously was in Madurai, and it created a sense of home within me, and I started to relate every other culture based on the experiences I have had in Madurai. And that's how I guess it eventually became my attained hometown. But why was I excited to go back to India while I was in Russia? I guess I used to think of that place as a tourist spot for me, as I used to meet a lot of people in my dad's hometown, Paramkudi. And this is the time usually the Tamil New Year happens, and we used to celebrate our family god. But for me, it was to have fun with lot of people, because when I was in Moscow, I used to be at home most of the time doing homework or playing puzzles with my mom. In fact, I had a Russian caretaker to take care of me and to teach me English and Russian. It was fun for that time, but I had the most amount of fun in Madurai. And some of them in Bangalore used to call me Madurai boy, Tamil Nadu boy. But that's who I really am, and there's nothing to be ashamed of who you are. In spite of all of these, why did inferiority complexes start to build within me? I didn't give a damn about my color complexity, but I cared about my language complexity, because that's how people are going to judge you and connect with you across different cultures. And somehow I started to hate my South Indian accent, and I wanted my British accent back. The other way to connect with guys were by playing team sports like volleyball, football, and basketball. But I was good at individual sports like sprinting and long jump, therefore, I couldn't connect with some of the guys. Also, I was confused with my ambition, even though I always had it within me, which is becoming a director, which I surprisingly told in a video which I recorded when I was in 8th grade.
My name is Amizhthan. I am studying 8th standard. I want to be a director, but I could not. Could not because I'm 8th standard, so no producers are accepting me.
But my ambition got suppressed, and the only accepted ones were being an IAS employee, or an engineer, or a doctor. These are the typical professions everyone aspire for, but I wasn't interested in any of them. I still ended up going to IIT coaching in order to lead a secure life according to the society. But these were the times I used to self-doubt myself a lot, asking questions such as what am I doing, why am I doing, what is right, and which is right. And the background I come from is completely different from the one I was looking at, which was a river of every possibility, and it was my right to do whatever I wanted to do. But to overcome my complexities, especially my language complexity, they used to tease me with the way I pronounced a particular word, but they also told me how to actually pronounce it. Also, I started to watch a lot of English TV shows and movies in order to get my English back on track, but I couldn't do much about sports because it naturally didn't come to me. But I was good at dance, but none of them in Bangalore were interested in dance. But in my Madurai school, I used to dance it every annual day, and those are such good memories I have, and I'm very grateful for it. Until 8th grade, I used to dance several dance forms, and dance did lead me up to a very special moment in my life. During farewell, I remember that they wanted me to be the last one to dance on stage. And I was really happy to hear this applause after a really long time in my life. And my self-esteem started to build again once I had chosen my subjects: psychology, history, economics, and maths from physics, chemistry, biology, and maths. The only complexity which still remains within me is self-doubt, because I create art and I'm still figuring out what is my aesthetic style, what kind of art I should be doing and should not be doing. But the problem is, before even creating art, I started doubt everything about it, and I still need to find ways to overcome my self-doubt. Then why do I still decide to be a part of different cultures? Because the amount of exposure I got was unbelievable. My understanding of art was very limited, but in Bangalore we had a place called Art Village where we can explore different kinds of art forms like pottery, carpentry, and tabla. And my passion towards art started to evolve more and more. Also, the kind of music I was listening to shifted from just being regional to all genres of music.
ये सारे परवा मन पहले ढूंढता.
Finally, my passion for photography. I used to click as many as pictures as I could at every other place possible, like cultural events, our Himalayan trek, and the vast nature of a school, like the birds, trees, the sky, and the sun. I was given the opportunity to have my own photo booth at my school during a mela and to document my classmates' photographs as part of the farewell gifts and to record videos of different cultural events that happen in our school. And I personally feel the culture being practiced at my school, the Valley School, can't be experienced anywhere else. As it's based on the philosophy of Krishnamurti, almost 98% of the school is filled with forest, and literally 2% of the school is filled with people and the infrastructure. And subconsciously, this is how I started to give importance to other organisms on this planet as well. Can you also believe that most of us don't wear shoes or chappals to school? Instead, we all just walk bare feet, as we don't have any particular dress code to wear to school. As it comes from the idea of questioning everything, not just within oneself but within a group, in order to try to understand something rather than just blindly believing in something. Like most of the youngsters in India, I didn't know what sex education was. But after listening to a lot of people from different genders who visited our campus, I got to understand the difference between sexuality and gender and how to not exclude them from us. And this created a progression in my perception towards humanity. And speaking about sex education within a group just broke away the shyness within me. The core philosophy of my school shifted my mindset from just being conservative to open minded. As I started to break stereotypes within me and started to look at every aspect of my life from different perspectives and to understand everything from the root cause of it. Then why do I still end up having regrets? I regret of not choosing two subjects in Valley School, which is literature and fine arts, instead of economics and maths. I had to choose economics and maths for college entry purpose in case if I'm applying to a business school just to be on a safer side. But now, as I'm in a filmmaking school, my regret for not choosing literature started to fade away as I started to read books part of the curriculum and not part of it. And I realized books is the only art form which has a lasting effect on us and to involuntarily evolve as a person. But I still couldn't come out of the regret of not choosing fine arts because it would have been a big backbone for me. As I'm coming from a photography background, I really wanted to pursue cinematography in the movies I wanted to direct as well. The aesthetics of fine arts would really have helped me to create my own visual style as I'm intrinsically seeking for visual storytelling. Also, I couldn't really appreciate the silence in my school as I'm coming from a very active family and from a sub-metropolitan city. The silence was very odd for me to handle. And most of the activities in my school are done to enjoy the process of it and not the result. But I was very result oriented at that time, and now I feel like I should have gone more with the flow in order to enjoy the activities. But anyways, the question that matters to me the most is how have I changed as a person? My ignorance as a person shifted towards an understanding of the world of me and the world around me.